Welcome, yogis. Welcome to this yoga practice where we are going to be focusing on movements, breathing, and yoga postures, asana, to help us to de-armor our bodies. Now, armoring is something that you may or may not have heard of. It's a term we use a lot in therapy to describe the braced, tense, defensive position that the body-mind adopts when we go through difficult times. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating this position, but I'm sure that you've felt before tension in your shoulders, tension in your neck, tension in your jaw when you're going through a difficult time. I would say that most people are more aware of the tension as it presents or as they experience it in the upper part of the body, shoulders, neck, jaw, face. But actually, the pattern, the shape is coming from the ground up. So it's not just your shoulders, your neck, and your jaw that are adopting this position. Usually, the body will be slightly forward, so there will be tension here in the hips as we pull forward to brace. Usually there'll be tension in the feet, the hamstrings, the quads. It's something that we're doing throughout the whole body and that we may not be aware of in its entirety. So we'll start by sitting down. You might want to sit on something. You might want to sit on a cushion, a folded up blanket or a block. I'm just going to quickly go and grab something to sit on. So I'm going to sit on this cushion, but you can sit on something else. We'll stretch our legs out and we'll start with our feet. So, sitting up tall, feel free to have your hands on the ground for support. If your hands don't reach the ground, you can use bricks. I do have some ready. So you can have bricks beside you to put your hands on to support your back, or if your arms easily reach the ground, you can have your hands on the ground. With the legs stretched out, on an inhalation, see if you can draw your toes up towards the sky and in towards your heart. And then on the exhalation, point your toes down towards the ground as much as you can. As you inhale, draw the toes up towards the sky and in towards your heart. And as you exhale, point the toes down towards the ground, away from your heart. So see if you can continue to move your feet like this, moving your feet in rhythm with your breath. You can go at your own pace. That's right. Feeling the sensations in your feet and your ankles and your lower legs. Noticing if your feet and your ankles may be slightly tighter than you might have expected them to be. Maybe there's a bit more sensation than you might have expected to feel with these movements. As well as stretching and strengthening the feet, the ankles, the lower legs here, we're also helping to soothe the nervous system. The nervous system really likes these repetitive engaging of the muscles and then stretching of the muscles movements. It's very soothing for the nervous system. So that helps us to start our practice in a place where the nervous system can more easily respond to the de-armouring movements. The next time your toes are pointing up towards the sky and drawn in towards your heart, see if you can hold the position, shoulders as relaxed as possible, keep breathing, feeling the engagement of your legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. And then see if you can point the toes away now and hold this position. Remember, keep breathing, face and shoulders as relaxed as possible. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. You can relax the feet, give them a shake if you want to, and then see if you can start to circle your feet around your ankles. So first circling in one direction, doesn't matter which direction. If you're like me, your tendency will be to actually move from your hips. And if you see your knees moving like that, then chances are you're actually moving your feet from your hips rather than from your ankles. So see if you can keep your knees more or less still so the movement's coming from the ankles. You can change direction now, see how that feels. Again, these movements are alternately stretching and then strengthening the same muscles in the feet and the ankles and the lower legs. One more circle, and then you can shake your feet out. Well done, well done. Okay, coming to tabletop pose now. So coming onto your palms and your kneecaps. See if you can have your hands more or less under your shoulders and your knees more or less underneath your hips. And see if you can spread your fingers and your thumbs, so making your hands like starfish. And with your hands like starfish, checking in with your elbows. You do want to have your elbows straight, but you don't want to be hyperextending the elbows, i.e. you don't want to be pushing the crease of the elbows forward. So if you're like me and your tendency is to hyperextend, just see if you can bend the elbows very slightly here. As we inhale, we're going to lower the belly towards the ground like the udders of the cow. Draw the shoulder blades back towards the back of your waist and look forward. And then as you exhale, see if you can arch your back up towards the sky, tucking your chin in, tucking your tailbone under. As you inhale, lower the belly back down towards the ground. Like the udders of the cow, draw the shoulders back, lift your gaze, look forward. And then as you exhale, arch your back, tuck your chin in, scoop your tailbone under, stretching the back of the body. Inhale to lower the belly, draw the shoulders back and look forward. Exhale to arch your back, scoop your tailbone under, tuck your chin in. So again, you can continue with these movements in rhythm with your breath, and you can go at your own pace. See if you can breathe slowly so that you are able to move relatively slowly, as well as easing out your back, as well as mobilizing through your spine, easing out your neck. These movements, again, are the same, have the same principle, the same quality, I should say, of being engaging and then stretching the same muscles. So again, that's soothing for the nervous system. So see if you can breathe slowly, or at least as slowly as you can. Move as slowly as you can. That's right. Let's do one more time in each direction. And then you can either come back and sit on your heels, or you can stand on your shins, or you can sit in any other position that works for you. You've had your hands on the floor, so your wrists might be aching a little bit. See if you can tuck your elbows right in and start to circle your hands around your wrists. So I'm asking you to tuck your elbows in. One of the reasons is the more you pull your elbows in and down, you'll already start to stretch the top of the shoulders there a little bit, which is going to be really good for releasing or stretching the tension from the shoulders. And also with your elbows tucked in, you're more likely to be circling your hands around your wrists, rather than what I often see when people don't tuck their elbows in, is they start to circle the forearms instead. Of course, there's nothing wrong with circling the forearms. Nothing bad will happen, but the wrists probably do need some releasing. So we want to tuck the elbows in so we can focus on them changing direction. That's right. So again, for the shoulders, interlace your fingers and turn your palms away. I'm going to turn to the side. If you want to change position so you're more comfortable, please feel free to. You can sit in a chair, you can stand up for this also. The fingers are interlaced, we press the palms away. I'm going to ask you to draw your shoulder blades back first. That's important. And then with the shoulder blades drawn back, can you then raise your arms up? And then can you stretch up through the sides of the body, through the outer armpits, flattening your palms up towards the sky. Keep breathing. Face as relaxed as possible as you hold the position. One more breath here. And then releasing the hands down. You can roll the shoulders if that feels nice. We'll do that again. Interlace the fingers again. Second time around, I'll come to the camera to show you. Second time around, see if you can change the interlace so you've got the other little finger on the bottom. Might feel a bit unusual. That's okay. Again, really good for the nervous system to do these sorts of things, these sorts of movements that you might not necessarily naturally do. Turn the palms away. Again, see how much you can draw your shoulder blades back and then raise the arms up from there. So we are actually mobilizing through the shoulders rather than what we might do otherwise is kind of stick the chest out and compress the back. So see if you can keep the shoulder blades moving towards each other as you raise the arms up. And then as you stretch up again, relax your face, breathing in and out through your nose. And then you can release your arms down and roll your shoulders back. So I want you to be in a comfortable seated position. So please choose your seated position yourself. You can kneel, you can stand on your shins, you can sit on a cushion, you can sit on a chair. You don't have to be sitting in the same position as me. Once you've found your comfortable seated position, and actually, I am going to say to see if you can kind of perch. So whatever you're sitting on, and this is obviously your own heels, see if you can perch on that thing. So if you're sitting on a chair, sit towards the edge of the seat of the chair. If you're sitting on a cushion or a block, sit towards the edge of the seat or the block. And that way you'll much more easily be able to sit up tall. Otherwise, you might find that you're already in that rounded back, sort of protective brace position when you sit down. So as much as possible, we want to be able to sit up tall here. And then once you're in your seated position, you're perched. See if you can once again tuck your elbows in, this time with the palms facing the sky. Hopefully your hands are above your knees, and if they're not, adjust your seated position so that your knees are lower, because we want to make sure that our hands are going to be able to clear our knees. So elbows tucked in, palms facing the sky. Draw the elbows down again. See if you can start to feel the stretch on the top of the shoulders. And then when you inhale, keeping the elbows tucked in, can you widen your hands? And then when you exhale, keeping your elbows tucked in, can you narrow your hands? So don't worry if your hands don't get as wide as mine when you inhale and widen them. Just keep the elbows tucked in. And then when you exhale, narrow. Again, see if you can continue like this at your own pace, in rhythm with your own breath. Breathing slowly, face relaxed. Each time you breathe in and you widen your hands, see if you can feel your shoulder blades firm on your back. Each time you breathe in and you widen your hands, see if you can feel your collarbones broadening and widening across the front of your chest. If it's okay with you, the next time your hands are wide, see if you can pause in position, continue to breathe in position. Notice where you're feeling the movement of your breath. Making sure your head is balanced on top of your spine, and remembering that your spine ends somewhere in between your ears. Relax your tongue down inside your mouth, tip of the tongue resting just behind your upper teeth or just behind your lower teeth, but the body of the tongue, the belly of the tongue, is relaxing down inside your mouth. Notice if that affects your experience of your breath. Notice if relaxing your tongue means that you experience your breath any differently. With your shoulder blades firm on your back of the body firm, stable, strong. See if you can feel that. Back of your body, back of your shoulders, firm, stable, strong. Front of your chest, broad, open. Confident. How does that feel? Relaxing your arms down, rolling your shoulders if that feels nice, and we'll come to standing now. Practicing a form of dancer posture. You might want to hold onto something. You might want to hold onto a wall or a chair, something that's going to be stable, because I'm going to ask you to see if you can lift one foot and take hold of it with your hand behind you. Now, if that's not possible, it's not possible to grab hold of your foot with your hand, that's okay. You can use something around your foot, like a yoga strap or a scarf or a belt, anything that you can wrap around your ankle. And then again, you probably want to hold onto something, at least as you get into position. And then you can hold onto that ankle or your foot with the strap. Once you've got a hold of your foot or your ankle, bring your knees as close together as you can. So you might find that your knee is pointing out here somewhere. See if you can bring your knees as close together as you can. And then from here, oops, she says wobbling, from here with your knees as close together as you can get them, see if you can press your pubic bone here at the front of your pelvis, see if you can press it forward. Now it doesn't matter how much you're wobbling, you can continue to hold onto the chair or the wall, but in the wobbling, your muscles in your feet are going to be strengthening, the muscles all the way up the legs into the hips, the abdomen, the core, the back are going to be strengthening. And the muscles that we're strengthening the most when we balance are our stabilizer muscles, the smaller muscles that it's perhaps harder to strengthen in other ways. So as you feel yourself wobbling around, you can embrace the sense of wobble because you know it's strengthening your stabilizer muscles. But I'm hoping at the same time you're also feeling a stretch in the front of your bent leg, your lifted leg. If you're finding it easy to balance, you can try raising your arm. But if you're finding that that means you're going to wobble out of the position, keep your hand on the wall or the chair, keep your hand on support. You might have been here for a little while now as I've been talking away. So let's swap sides. We're aiming to stretch the muscles on the fronts of the legs, the fronts of the hips, but to also strengthen the stabilizer muscles. Why is that important? The stabilizer muscles are muscles that can often become tense and weak when we have a braced posture. And when the stabilizer muscles, the smaller muscles, become tense and weak, sometimes the movement muscles, the larger muscles, start to take over the job of stabilizing us. And that means they start to tighten up. So it can be the case that when we strengthen our stabilizer muscles quite quickly, we find that we have a lot more mobility. It feels like we've stretched out really quickly. We've got more length in the muscles, more movement really quickly. So you might find that over a couple of weeks, you start to feel that too. If you haven't already, you can come out of that posture now, and we'll move into a version of Parsvottanasana. And for this version of Parsvottanasana, we're not going to step the feet very far apart. So with your right foot forward and your left foot back, make sure both feet are pointing in the same direction. Not having one foot out to the side, I exaggerate that bit, didn't I? Not having one foot turned slightly out to the side if you can. If you have to have your foot slightly out to the side in order to balance in position, feel free to. You could have your hands on something, like the wall. I've got the wall beside me, or you could have a chair in front of you to have your hands on. So if you're finding it hard to balance here, again, please do hold on to something. And then from here, with our legs straight, we're going to see if we can hinge forward at the hips. So again, if you need something, have something there to put your hands on. Before you hinge forward, I'm going to ask you to stand up tall, stretch your fingertips down towards the ground, pulling the shoulders down, creating that little bit of stretch. And here I want you to scrunch up your fingers or bend your fingers really strongly so your hands are in this shape, and you're going to strongly keep them in that shape as you send your knuckles down, bend from the hips, and send the crown of your head forward. So you may or may not get as low as me, but you definitely don't really want to go past the halfway point. See if you can stay here, sending your hands back, sending your hips back, and see if you can feel a stretch in the back of one or both legs. If you're feeling the stretch more or less just in the back of your knee, you can try bending the knees very slightly, like a micro bend, and then send your hips back again and see if that moves the stretch more into the belly of the muscle, what we kind of call the belly of the muscle, either the calf muscle or the hamstrings or both. So that tiny little micro bend on the knees might help to do that. If it doesn't, that's okay. Stretching at the back of the legs, wherever you're feeling it, is going to be useful. Breathing slowly as you hold the position. And then when you're ready, you can lift your head and come back up. I'll turn around to do the other side, but you don't have to. Left foot forward this time, right foot back. Again, feel free to hold onto something. You can have your feet closer together if that helps. Stretch your hands down, scrunch your fingertips up, keep your hands really active and engaged. Your brain will like that and your nervous system will like that. And then from your hip creases, start to bend forward. So you're sending your sitting bones back, sending the crown of your head forward. Either pausing at the halfway point or pausing at the point where you feel you've gone far enough. And again, noticing where you're feeling a stretch in the backs of your legs. Is it in the backs of your knees? If it is, you might try just that tiny micro bend. I'll do it again so you can look at the screen if you're not sure. So here my legs are straight, and that's the little micro bend. It's a tiny one. And then if I send my sitting bones back with that tiny micro bend in the knees, I do feel the stretch more in the belly of the muscles, belly of the hamstrings, belly of the calf muscles. Breathing slowly as you hold the position. as slowly as you can. You might not be able to breathe completely slowly here, but just see what you can do, breathing as slowly as you can. And then when you're ready, you can come out of the position and come up. Well done. So we've stretched the front of the legs, we've stretched the back of the legs. Now we're going to come into warrior pose, warrior two. So I'm going to ask you to start in the front of your mat and to take your feet wide. You want your feet to be wide enough that it feels like you're being challenged, but not so wide that you feel like you're about to slide into the splits. So see if you can take your feet to the distance that helps you to feel challenged, but not so challenged that you're going to fall over or slide into the splits. We'll go to the right side first. I'll mirror you. Front foot, heel in, toes out, so that the toes are pointing to the right. When you bend your knee, do a little bit of a test of a bend of the knee. If your knee is coming inwards of your ankle or your toes, then turn your foot slightly back in so that when you bend your knee can easily track your toes. We definitely don't want the knee to have to be negotiating between the hip and the ankle. So make sure your knee, your foot position allows your knee to track your toes. The back foot, either having the outer edge of your back foot parallel with the end of the mat, or if you want, you can turn the toes in slightly. Before you bend any legs, either leg, root down through both feet, inner and outer edge of each foot, really pressing down, feel your feet rooting down into the earth. Keep rooting down, particularly through the back foot, but also through the front foot as you bend your front knee. If you feel as though you want to take your feet wider at this point, because your knee is going to easily overshoot your ankle, please feel free to wiggle the back foot back a little bit and then pressing down through your feet, rooting down through your feet as you bend again. Breathing as slowly as you can as you hold the position. That's right. Bringing the hands around in front, tips of your middle fingers touching. See if you can press down into something imaginary that's in front of you. Again, feeling how that strengthens or kind of gives a sense of strength in the back of your shoulders, I would say. Stabilizing the back of the shoulders. And then see if you can keep that sense of pressing down, keep that sense of stability as you open your arms out to the side. Feel as if you could touch either side of your room as you stretch out from the center of your heart open, back of your shoulders firm, stable and strong. You can take a breath in, and on the out breath, if you want to, you can turn your head to gaze over your front hands, over your front fingers. Taking a few breaths here, feeling how hard your legs are working. Noticing how it feels to take up space. And then on another inhale, bring the head back, lower the arms down. You can unbend the front knee and then heel and toe the feet in and give the feet a shake out. If you've been practicing this class for a while, this video for a while, and you feel like you could stay in the position and go to the other side, please do feel free to stay in the position. You don't have to come out and shake your legs. But if you haven't been doing it for very long, it can feel quite strong on the legs. So again, taking your feet wide, turning the front heel in, toes out, making sure that your knee can track your toes, adjusting your feet if not, or your foot if not, I should say. Rooting down through both feet, inner and outer edge of each foot, rooting down into the earth, and then bending your front knee. And if you feel like you could take your feet wider, you want to take your feet wider, you know that you can. Just making sure that they're not so wide that you don't have an ability to root down, because the rooting down of the inner and the outer edge of the foot is going to give us that sense of stability and strength. Give our nervous system, communicate with our nervous system that we are here, we are rooted, we are firm, we are strong. Bringing the hands around in front, pressing down into the imaginary thing, and then widening your hands out See if you can feel the sense of strength and stability through the legs and the arms as they work hard to hold you in this position. Your body is holding you. Take a breath in. Turn your gaze. Breathe as slowly as you can in position, stretching out from the center of your heart. How does it feel to take up space? In the pose of the warrior, warrior energy, strong and courageous, even though we probably feel some fear in the face of some things. Part of us can also be strong. On an inhale, you can draw your head back, lower your arms down, unbend your knee and heel and toe your feet in. Give your legs a shake. And again, once you've been practicing this for a while, if you do practice it for a while and you feel like your legs are strong enough to stay wide before going into the next position, please feel free to stay in the position. You might want some bricks for this, or you might want something in front of you like a chair seat for your hands. So have them ready, especially if you haven't practiced this before, have them ready. And then if you do need them, they're there. We're going to take the feet wide again. So again, we're taking up space. This time, see if you can have your feet more or less parallel to each other. And again, root down through the inner and the outer edge of each foot. See if you can start to get more familiar with how it feels to press down through your feet, strengthening your feet and strengthening your sense of yourself in relation to the ground, in relation to taking up space. That's right. How does it feel to root down through your feet? From your hip creases again, like we did before, I'm going to ask you to see if you can fold to the halfway point. So this is where you might want to have something for your hands, like bricks or maybe the seat of the chair. And you can pause in this position with your hands on the support, or you can take your hands away from the support and pause at the halfway point with your hands maybe on your hips, maybe somewhere on your legs, wherever feels right for you. I like to squeeze my elbows towards each other so I know that my shoulders, the front of my shoulders are still being stretched and open. So you might like to try that too. Feel the feet on the ground, inner and outer edge pressing down, breathing as slowly as you can. Slow, steady breaths. Feel the stretch and the effort in your legs, effort through your spine. And then as you press down through your feet even more strongly, on an inhale, can you rise all the way back up again and heel and toe your feet in. And then shake out your legs. Come into standing Tadasana, mountain posture. I suggest having your feet hip distance apart again. Also about taking up space. You might not be in the wide-legged position here, but this is a stance that we can use anywhere. When we're with people, when we're on our own, when we're at the bus stop. It might look a bit odd if you take your feet really wide. But here, I think us yogis can get away with this in public. Rooting down through the inner and the outer edge of each foot. Shoulders relaxed. See if you can imagine your hands are heavy. So the shoulders are moving down, away from your ears. Face relaxed. Notice how you feel. Well done. Well done. As always, if you've got any questions, please do let me know. Well done, yogis.